Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about writing. Writing is an important tool of communication. In order to be good communicators, we need to be good with our speech, we need to be good with our writing. And so we need to have those two parts in order to be good, effective communicators. Writing is something that students use in all content areas in school, and we use all throughout our lives in adulthood. Sadly, the stats are saying that only 27% of students from grades 4 through 12 are proficient at writing. Be sure you stay to the end of the video where I'm going to be giving you a solution to the writing problem, but also an announcement. And that is pretty appalling. That means that 73% of students are struggling in writing and are not writing at grade level. That means that this other half of communication, which is writing, is struggling and it's impaired. And now the things that you're able to communicate through writing, you're not able to anymore. And it's going to affect all areas. But why is this happening? Why is this happening? Isn't writing being taught in schools? And the answer is, it's not being taught properly. You know, in schools, yes, they teach penmanship and how to write letters, right? How to form letters the right way. And they have language arts where you go and you learn the mechanics of writing and you learn grammar and spelling and sentence structure. But when it comes to writing, in order to be good at writing, you need to be writing often. You need to be writing stories and paragraphs and essays, right? And that's not something that's happening in schools. And so you have children that are going all through elementary school and they're not writing very often. And they're not being taught how to write and how to write creatively and how to improve their writing. Now they're moving on to middle school and high school and they're expected to write essays. So what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen when a child has not been taught how to write a paragraph? A good structured paragraph. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're not just telling a child, go write 5 sentences. That's not what a structured paragraph is. A coherent paragraph, which has an introduction, supporting details, and a conclusion. Because that is the basis of an essay. And from that, you construct an essay, right? And that is how you construct an essay. So if you have a student who hasn't been taught the basics, how do we expect them to succeed in the future? It's not going to happen. In school, when I was going through school, I wasn't taught writing very much. I didn't grow up in a very good school district, but I think this is something that is widespread. I remember when I was in high school, the juniors of our high school had to take a state test, and most of them were failing the writing portion of that test. The school administrators decided that they needed to bring in the juniors for Saturday classes for 3 weeks before the test so that they can prepare them for the essay portion. And even doing that, we still had struggling students who could not pass the writing portion of the test. I took an interest in writing. I wanted to get better in writing. I didn't want to become a percentage of what my high school was representing. And I took it upon myself to become a good writer. And that is what I teach my children today. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. It starts in kindergarten, and when you have a child in kindergarten, they're 5 years old, right? You want them to leave the kindergarten year writing phonetic sentences. What do I mean by phonetic sentences? That means that they are sounding out what they're writing. And of course, before they can do that, they need to be able to read. The goal of the kindergarten year is for students in kindergarten to leave kindergarten knowing how to write phonetic sentences. Sadly, many of them leave the kindergarten year and do not know how to write phonetic sentences. In fact, because most of them are leaving and cannot read very well. They are illiterate still, and they go onto other grades without knowing how to read properly. In order to know how to write, you need to know how to read, right? This is where it starts. That is where I start my children. The kindergarten year, they already learn how to read before that. In preschool, they're already learning how to read. I've made video tutorials on how to teach your children how to read. Now, starting with sight, we're starting with phonics, which is the foundation of reading. After that, I start teaching my children how to write phonetic sentences, regardless of spelling. So for example, if you have the child write, the fox ran, it's not going to be spelled right at that point in their lives. It's fine that it's not spelled right. It might be spelled like this. For the word the, it might be spelled D-U. For the word fox, it may be spelled F-X because that is what they're hearing, but that is fine and that is appropriate for the kindergarten year. So now they leave the kindergarten year and they're moving on to first grade, and now they're going to start their writing routine and start improving their spelling and how they write. Now for my kids, what I've done with my kids, and I have 5 kids that I homeschool, I've always started them on a notebook, and I started having them write word families, copy word families when they were in kindergarten. Then we went on to the phonetic writing aspect of it, and I would give them a picture or I would dictate a sentence, and then they would write it phonetically. As years went on, I decided to create a workbook that would have it all in one workbook, so that I didn't have to worry about writing it in their notebooks every day, having lessons written for them, and so that I knew that I was holding myself accountable. And so this is what this book does. This is actually my 5-year-old's writing book, and this is what it looks like. So every day he's writing 5 words that he's copying, and it's word families. As he goes on, he starts writing now phonetically. So as you can see here, he's looking at a picture and he's writing it in. Still working with those word families, which are very helpful. Towards the end of the book, he hasn't gotten to that point, he's going to be doing copying sentences, and lastly, he's going to be ending with dictation and writing his own phonetic sentences, which is the goal of the kindergarten year. And this is called kindergarten writing, and that's why I created it. Then, when they move on, and they're 6 years old, you want them to start a writing routine every day. If you want to be good at something, you have to do it often. You can't be good at something if you only do it once a week or once a month. When you talk about students who hate writing and who have writer's block, it's because they don't write very often. And that is what I have my children do very early on. So starting at 6, we have them have a notebook. They have journals. And a 6-year-old, for example, will be writing multiple sentences now because they've learned how to write phonetic sentences in kindergarten. Now they're writing multiple sentences. As they get better, they're writing full pages of their stories with writing prompts. They're doing all types of writing. I have them do a writing routine every day, and they're working on their writing, and they love writing. It's one of their favorite subjects. And you will see that they're writing a page a day. There's illustrations in here. And they are improving their writing as they go on throughout the years. By the time that the child is 11 years old, now I have them start writing essays. And now they have the foundation. They've done a lot of writing every day. They're writing a page a day, right? They're working up to that. They don't always start with a page a day, because the 6-year-old is not going to start with a page a day. They start with a couple of sentences at a time. It builds up to this. But now you have a child that's 11 and they can start writing essays. I also have them start writing their own paragraph, their own structured paragraphs early on. So a child that's 7, 8 and up can start writing their own paragraphs. And I have them keep it in a different binder, but they start writing their own paragraphs. And I want them to know how to formulate a paragraph the right way, because it is the basis of an essay. It's important that once your children have left kindergarten, they have reached that goal of writing phonetically, whether you do it in a notebook or whether you get a workbook like this one, which is very, very helpful. Then you have them start their daily journals. And I've talked about this in other videos. I've made a workshop for you where I detail our writing routine, what we do 5 days a week, what are the different exercises that we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to get our kids to write every single day. For the older ones, we do have them do essays, and they also do structured paragraphs. And for those kids that are 10 and up, they're doing some typing. So you will see them doing their first draft and then typing it. But I detailed all this in a workshop for you to help you in your writing journey. In the workshop, I show you our daily writing routine, but I also show you how to teach a child to write a structured paragraph, how to start a daily writing routine, how to correct your children's writing. I show you inside of my children's notebooks and show you how I improve on their grammar, on their spelling, because that is what writing does. Writing is going to help your children improve in their grammar, in their sentence structures. And in the course, I also included a writing folder. In the writing folder, you're going to have templates for everything. You're going to have templates for how to write a paragraph, for how to write a book report, for how to do brainstorming, for how to improve your child's writing and make it more creative. I have here a binder that's going to teach your children how to write in the 4 types of writing: descriptive, narrative, expository, and persuasive. Children should know how to present information these 4 different ways. And we do it through our structured paragraphs and essays. So as part of the workshop, this is included as part of the workshop. I'm going to link the workshop below. But I want you to know that it is not enough that your child is taking a language arts class. Your children should be writing every single day and improving on their writing. When I look at my children's notebooks, I love it. I love reading their very creative and imaginative stories. Sometimes it goes on 2-3 pages of these really elaborate stories. And I'm helping my children become good, strong writers. And this is going to help them one day when they go off to college, when they go off to work one day, to the workforce. You have people in the workforce who cannot write an email at work. Writing is important, and we cannot depend on the school system to teach our kids to write. They're not focusing on writing. They're focusing on the mechanics of writing and on penmanship. That is not going to produce good writers, good, well-rounded writers. It's not going to produce it. It's in your hands. If you want to, go ahead and grab my workshop that I created for you, because a lot of you guys wanted to know what a writing routine was and a little bit more about writing. And I've been promising this workshop for you guys. I finally got around to filming it over the winter break. I'm going to link it below, and I'm going to have a special discount for those watching today if you would like to get a hold of our writing workshop. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that your student is not part of that 73% of students that are failing in writing in this country. It can be done, and it's easy and simple, and all parents can do it. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.